They told you his name was Jesus. They built cathedrals in that name, sang hymns in that name, went to war in that name, and yet the man himself never heard it, not once, because the name Jesus never existed when he walked the earth. It didn't exist in Hebrew, it didn't exist in Aramaic, it didn't exist in Greek. It was born centuries later through translations, distortions, and design. So who was he really? What was his true name? He was called Yeshua, a name that predates the empire, the doctrines, and the books that followed. But this isn't about pronunciation, it's about resonance. Yeshua isn't just a name, it's a living frequency, a sound key, a vibrational blueprint encoded with spiritual memory. And when they replaced it, they didn't just change the syllables, they altered the activation code. You see, in ancient traditions, names weren't casual, they were power, they carried intent, they summoned essence. And Yeshua is built from the same divine architecture as YHVH, the sacred name of the source. So why change it? Most names describe a person, but Yeshua is different. Yeshua doesn't just describe the Christ, it embodies him. It's not a label, it's a resonance, a sacred vibration encoded in the breath itself. Let's break it down. Yeshua is derived from the Hebrew root yasha, meaning to deliver, to rescue, to bring into safety. But it goes deeper. The full form, Yehoshua, contains YH, the first two letters of the divine tetragrammaton, YHVH. That's not a coincidence, that's a signature. YHVH isn't just a name for God, it's a pattern of breath. Try saying it slowly. Yod, Heh, Vav, Heh. There are no consonants, no hard sounds, just breath. It's the sound of existence itself, and Yeshua's name begins with that same divine breath. He carries the source inside his very name. He is the interface between the infinite and the incarnate. Now ask yourself, when they removed the YH sound, when they converted it to Jesus, a name with no sacred structure, no direct link to the breath of God, what exactly was lost? It's not just theology, it's spiritual circuitry. Because every time you say Yeshua, you engage the breath of God, you align your field with the template of deliverance, you remind your nervous system what safety feels like. This name was never meant to be changed. It was never meant to be tamed. Because it's not just history, it's activation, and they knew it. So the real question isn't just why they changed it, it's this: what would happen if the true name was spoken again, not by one man, but by a million awakened fields at once? Because this wasn't just a translation error, it was a recalibration of identity, a spiritual disconnection masked as linguistic evolution. The name Jesus served the empire. The name Yeshua awakens the soul, because when you say Jesus, you touch a symbol. But when you say Yeshua, something deeper stirs, not just in language, but in your field. It's not about which name sounds better. It's about which name remembers you back. And the question now is, why was it so important to erase the original name of the Christ? And more importantly, what happens when you start to speak it again? Let's ask the question they never want you to ask. Why would anyone change the name of the Christ? You don't just rename the most important spiritual figure in human history by accident. This wasn't about translation, it was about control. Because the name Yeshua was dangerous, not politically, but vibrationally. It carried memory, it carried resonance, it awakened something no empire could afford: direct access to the divine. Yeshua was never meant to be the founder of a religion. He was a frequency transmitter, a living map of awakening, and his name, like a tuning fork, aligned the soul to its source. But after his death, something else was born, not a movement, an institution. Rome didn't just want to tell his story. They wanted to own it, to curate the myth, to sanitize the mystic, to take the name that opened hearts and replace it with one that closed minds. Jesus became the face of the church, not the man, but the brand. a symbol emptied of its original energy, filled with doctrine, power, hierarchy. You see, empires don't fear prophets. They fear unmediated access to God, so they changed the language, rewrote the scripts, silenced the mystics, and replaced the breath name Yeshua with something that sounded holy, but no longer carried the code. Because if people remembered the real name, they might also remember the real path, the one that didn't require priests, didn't require temples, didn't require permission, just breath, awareness, and inner fire. They knew if Yeshua's name survived, his message would too, and that message was never worship me. It was become what I am. There are words you say, and there are words that say you. Yeshua is not just a name you speak, it's a sound that speaks you into remembrance. In ancient mystical traditions, mantras were not affirmations, they were frequency codes, sound formulas designed to realign your field with your original blueprint. And the name Yeshua carries that very formula. Say it slowly, feel it in the chest. Yeshua. It vibrates in the heart center. It opens something. That's not random. That's resonance. The structure of the name acts like a spiritual tuning fork. It harmonizes you with a field that predates language, a frequency encoded in the breath of the divine. It's no coincidence that mystics say, speak the sacred name and it will speak you back. Because Yeshua isn't a name to recite. It's a portal. Each syllable carries activation. Lifts you into higher awareness. Shu grounds you in stillness and surrender. Releases control and opens the crown. It's not religion, it's remembrance. And when spoken with intention, not as dogma, but as vibration, Yeshua becomes a living current. You don't worship the sound, you let it reveal you to yourself. And the more you speak it, the more your body remembers, the more your field adjusts, the more your soul recognizes, this is what I've been waiting to hear. Because this name wasn't just meant to be read, it was meant to be sung through you. They told you he'd come back through the clouds, a divine figure riding light, descending from above. But what if the return of Christ was never meant to be external? What if the second coming was always meant to be within you? You see, Yeshua never said, wait for me in the sky. He said, the kingdom of God is within you, not around you, not above you, within. But empires can't profit from inward journeys. They can't tax your breath. They can't sell you silence. They can't package awakening. So they externalized him, turned a path inward into a promise postponed. But here's what they couldn't erase. The Christ isn't a man, it's a frequency, a state of being, a template for the awakened human. Yeshua was the embodiment, but not the monopoly. His real message was never, follow me blindly. It was, this is what you are. You are not here to worship the light. You're here to realize you are made of it. You are not here to wait for heaven. You're here to remember it lives in your nervous system. The return of Christ isn't one man descending. It's you ascending. Every time you speak the name Yeshua with awareness, every time you open your heart, raise your frequency, and reclaim your breath as sacred, he returns. Not as a figure, as a field, and that field lives in you. You were never just meant to say the name, you were meant to become it. The true power of Yeshua isn't in historical memory, it's in personal resonance. It's not about believing he existed, it's about realizing you do, as a field capable of the same frequency, the same light, the same love. In mystical teachings, names were portals. When you spoke a sacred name, you didn't just invoke the person, you entered their state of consciousness. And this is the great secret they never wanted you to know. When you speak Yeshua, with breath, with heart, with presence, you don't just remember him, You remember yourself. You awaken the divine seed that's been sleeping in your DNA, the original blueprint, the Christ code. This isn't metaphor, it's frequency science, it's neuroelectric memory, it's spiritual quantum logic. Every time you say Yeshua with awareness, you vibrate your nervous system into coherence, you open your pineal temple, you align with the sacred geometry of the logos, and then something begins to shift. You stop waiting for someone to save you. You stop chasing permission to feel divine. You stop outsourcing your soul because something ancient reactivates, something that knows. You are not a follower. You are a fractal of the source. The awakening of the name isn't just about sound. It's about identity. It's about taking back the frequency they buried and realizing that frequency was you all along. So now the question isn't just who was he? The real question is, who are you? When the name begins to rise from your own chest. They changed the name, but they couldn't erase the code. You just remembered it. Now speak it and become it. Watch next. Playlist. The Hidden Teachings of Jesus.